You record?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, my friends. So this is one of the Polynesian temples. Yeah. So they all look the same way, open air, no roof, made with the black stone, the volcanic stone. Yeah? This is the sacred altar, and on the sides here, on both sides, we have some stones who are standing up, like this one here. Those are seats for political VIPs and the stronger warriors. And we have two bigger ones in the middle. One is for the chief of the tribe, and the other one for the shaman. Only those guys can go inside, just for an elite. The rest, they will stand outside. And we have many temples like this. Each temple will have its own function. You could come here for weddings, to take political decisions, to pray the different gods they had, and to intronize the chief and the different kings. Huh? But there is also the social temple. And this is a place where everybody can go, because those temples here are taboo for the women. They are not allowed to come here. The social temple, everybody, girls, boys, young, old, and they go there to have fun. So they go in for singing, dancing, and the most important, telling the stories. We don't have any right on this civilization. So the only way they have to transmit their traditions and culture was the oral transmission. And then we have a man called the Orero. And the Orero is the one who's transmitting the culture and tradition to the young generation.
We call it the Kaumatua in Maori. He's the Kaumatua.
Ah, okay.
Same thing.
Yeah. And then this man, he knows all the stories, but he also knows the genealogy of the different families they came here on the very beginning. The first Polynesians are coming here on the Raiatea Island on the 3rd century. They come, of course, from Cook Islands, Samoa, Tonga, the Fijis, and even after further from Tuvalu, Wallis, Futuna, and then from Micronesia, Papua New Guinea. And then 10,000 years ago, this is when it starts this long migration from Taiwan.
Yes. Yeah.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. So then the first are coming here on the 3rd century in Raiatea. This is the sacred island, and this is where everything starts for the Polynesian culture. And this is where they build also their first temple, Taputa Tapuatea. This temple is the most important on the Polynesian triangle. Today we still have some cultural exchanges with all those countries, and once a year some delegation, they come here to Raiatea to have a big festival, we can say this. So they're sharing their culture. Huh? Okay. Voilà. And then for a temple like this, who used to be a chief temple, every chief of a tribe will have his own temple, and they will dedicate this to the god of the war, Oro. Polynesians, they were polytheists, so they have many different gods. And their all gods are representing something from the nature. Yeah. Like you could have the god of the forest, god of the birds, god of the wind, the rain, the sun, the moon, the fire, beauty,
We've
love.
Got all of that in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Mother Earth, Papatūānuku, Sky Father, Ranginui.
Yeah. So each god here will have his own temple. They don't mix them all in one place. And that's because they all have also their own spiritual power. That's what we call here the mana. Mana.
The strength.
Yes. And this mana for Polynesians is all around us. It's in everything. You can have mana on the tree, mana on stone, on fruits, on animals, on plants, on flowers, and it can be also on us. And then you have the good and a bad mana. So we can compare this as a karma. So then you have this good and bad mana. And on this civilization, when they have a problem or bad things happens, it means for them they have a bad mana. So this is not very nice. So they will come here to the temple very often, and then they will give some offerings to the all gods. Mm. First, they will give small offerings like fish, fruits, flowers, pigs, dogs, chickens, turtles. It's always representing food for the gods. So those are very good offerings, but they are small offerings. So then they give you a small manna. Yeah. When they have a bigger problem, or the problem is during on time, then you have to give something bigger to your God. And this was the human sacrifice.
Did they? Oh yeah, yeah. Because they were, I suppose you could call them like very ancient times. They would have been pagan, pagans, wouldn't they? You know, not no Christianity or anything.
No, no,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so for the sacrifices, they will use only the men, never women or childs.
Wow.
And they will choose the men of the lowest caste. And on this caste, we have slaves. But the slaves they had, they were warriors who were made prisoner during the battles and the wars they had between the different tribes. At this moment, we have a lot of tribal wars. So usually they are sacrificing their enemies, not their own people. And then they will use those sacrifices really for big ceremonies and big occasions. And then we have two different types of ceremony. The first was the war ceremony. At this moment, all the warriors, they will participate to this battle. They need a strong manna. For this, they will eat this manna. All right?
Oh.
Attention. Speak French? No? Nothing? Un peu.
She does a little bit.
Okay. So now I will show you an image where we can see marae for a human sacrifice.
Oh.
It's not a war ceremony because on the side here we can see the famous Captain Cook.
Oh.
yeah.
Ah.
That's amazing. Was that a painting, is it?
Yes, it's a painting.
Wow.
So Cook, the first time he's coming here in Polynesia in 1769, he came here as a scientist. Himself, he's a cartographer. And he is the first man doing the ethnological travel. So he's here for observating the different customs they had, but also to study the vegetation, the animals, and different things like that. Huh? So in one moment, he had to help one of the big chief here in Tahiti. And then because of this, he became a friend of this man. And then he was invited to one of those ceremonies. The ceremony they are doing here, this sacrifice, was for Cook.
Oh, God.
Yeah? Because usually those ceremonies are secret and sacred. So not, you won't see a white man around the temple while they doing those ceremonies. Huh? And Cook was the only witness of a human sacrifice. Because of him, we have those images today. Otherwise, we wouldn't know how they were using those ceremonies. Huh?
Next question.
Yeah.
So how did they?
Oh, no, I think
How did they kill them?
Who?
they just stab them or cut
Ah,
them
how
up?
they kill him?
Yeah.
Burn them or kill them?
No, 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 no. So look, he's attached on a pole,
Ooh.
and they will just break his neck.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
They
quick.
yeah, quick,
Oh,
very
that's all
quick.
right.
He's
Be
not,
like being hung.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's not suffering.
Yeah.
And then they will expose him on a wood platform like this, where we can see some offerings. Here we
Yeah,
can
skulls.
see pigs, dogs,
Okay.
the skulls, yes, on the back, right here.
Yeah.
They will expose this right here on the sacred altar.
Wow.
So then
So people
Shaman.
have actually been sacrificed here, right here.
no, they always kill the man outside,
Oh.
not inside. Yeah. And then once he's killed, they can start the ceremony. So the shaman is making all the praise to his god. He's singing and dancing with the warriors. And then at the end of the ceremony, they will eat the man they just sacrificed. They will eat him to take his mana, his power. Huh?
Okay.
Voilà. But that was the only occasion here in French Polynesia when they eating the human meat. They're not always eating the human
No.
meat,
No.
only during the war ceremony.
Okay.
What
Yeah,
happens in the other islands from the Polynesian Triangle, like in Fiji, the Samoa, the Tongas, where they are real cannibals. They hunt people just for eating the human meat because they like it. And here is just during a ceremony.
Yes.
It's more ritual
Right.
than pure cannibalism.
Right.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Then later in 1797, sorry, we have the first missionaries who are coming here. They're coming from England, the Protestants.
That's right.
And then they went to the different tribes to evangelize their population. But at this moment, there is no translation, not yet. And it was very difficult to communicate with these people who are very proud, they're strong men, yeah, they don't want to change anything in their customs. So for most of the first missionaries they came here, they never came back from their mission. They were eaten by the different tribes. Later in 1819 we have a second wave who's coming, and then they went to see the King of the Moon in Tahiti, the big chief Tu. And Tu is the first member of the royal family, the Pomare royal family.
I read that last night, Pomare.
Pomare. And then they will talk to him, and finally they will convince him to be him the first evangelize. Like this, the population, they will have the feeling that they are following their king and not the missionaries, the white men. And this was the beginning of the evangelization.
Christianity.
Yeah. At this moment, Tu has a new situation. So then he has to create 4 new laws for his people. The first law was saying that the people, they couldn't come to the temples anymore. And for this purpose, they will destroy most of the temples. Second law, they couldn't sing anymore. It was forbidden singing. And this was the way they had to transmit their traditions and culture, who was made and the temple, the oral transmission. Third law, no more dances. Couldn't dance anymore. And this was considered by the Protestant like being too erotic, the dances. So that wasn't very nice. And then finally, no more tattoos. And the tattoos for the Polynesian is the most important because